who got that optimization insider.
All right, and we're back, and I'm here with David JP Phillips. Välkommen!
Ja, det är rätt.
Yeah!
That's right, man.
That's bad. I am Swedish. My family's from Uppsala. No, I'm Canadian.
All right.
But my family heritage is around Uppsala.
Wow, that's super.
Yeah, so
Well
I was
done.
like trying to figure out how to say like, how are you? And then I was like, I can do välkommen and tack. That's about it.
That's about it. So
That's
we're not
about
doing
it.
this in Swedish.
No, we are definitely not.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
thanks for coming all the way from Sweden.
Thank you.
Flight was delayed,
Yeah.
but you made it. You're a pro.
Yeah, definitely worth it.
Yeah. So first question, what did she say?
You know what?
Do you ever give that away?
Yeah, she said. No, just kidding.
You did it again. Oh man, that was good. That was really good. So what made you want to go on this kind of like journey into storytelling to like figure out all the like physiological responses, and have you always known this, or did you like launch on this quest to really understand storytelling, or where did it come from?
So my core skill, my core business is presentation skills, public speaking.
Yeah.
And within that, there are several different disciplines. And I want to become extremely good at every single discipline. Storytelling is one of those disciplines. So whatever I get into, I look at it from a neurological and biological perspective, whichever of these disciplines that I work on. So for instance, my first TEDx talk was how to avoid death by PowerPoint.
Yeah.
And that is really like neurological, perception, cognitive. And then storytelling went down to biology. Yeah, so yeah, that's my focus is there.
Yeah.
And it's just one of many disciplines.
And what are some of the other disciplines that you've either done or maybe will do?
So I'm doing I'm heading down to Zagreb, Croatia now to do a TEDx talk.
Just a quick flight back.
Yeah. And that's going to be on the 110 Steps of Excellence.
Oh wow.
So I've studied 5,000 speakers for 7 years to distill 110 common traits that great speakers have on stage.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I'm doing a talk on that. So that would be one more of the disciplines then, for instance. Stand-up comedy would be another discipline.
That's a fun one to study.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that yet. I think humor is the most like complex discipline of all disciplines.
Yeah. Well, I think what's interesting, and obviously you would know this by speaking all over the world, but what's funny here isn't necessarily funny in Canada.
No.
What's funny in Canada isn't necessarily funny in Sweden.
Yeah.
Right? So what are some elements of humor that maybe translates across borders and countries, or is it just too hard to tell, like it's so different based on the context?
Well, the deeper you go, the more common the humor becomes. So, you know, like anything around the reptilian system. So a lot of people, I wouldn't say the entire world laugh at sex jokes, but the absolute majority.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any kind of that level kind of joke usually works all over the world, but it's very different. It's just such a hard question to answer, and it's the only discipline I haven't dived into.
Oh, there you go. I'll ask you more about the other
one.
disciplines. So you talked a lot
I'm getting there.
Okay, good. We'll have to come back and tell us about humor. So obviously you talked about storytelling, and the application at one level is an obvious one, like tell these great stories and boost particularly oxytocin and generosity, but do you have any ideas or insights of how nonprofits specifically can use stories? Like if they can't stand on stage, you know, should they be using video, or how can they incorporate these type of elements even to a small degree on their websites or something like that?
So videos kills anything in storytelling. It's super.
Yeah.
All right. So you can design which kind of signaling substance release you want in the human beings that's watching it. It's mind blowing. So that's priority number one. Priority number two is to work with images. Images can obviously create stories.
Yeah.
But even like text snippets can create stories. Like Ernest Hemingway was asked, Can you write a short story? And he said, I'll write the shortest story ever written.
Yeah.
And it's very sad, but it's only 3 lines, and it goes like this. Baby shoes, never worn, for sale.
Yeah.
Shortest story ever written.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
But 3 rows, oxytocin.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can definitely write things as well. And you can even look at a web page, and you can look at it from a story perspective. So when you land on the front page, that should kind of initiate a story, and then you can have sub-pages which carries you through the story. So you can build stories in your web design.
Yeah. So one of the misconceptions, at least from what I gather around storytelling, is that just by telling a story, like you've told a story, then you get the oxytocin. But there's a format, there's a structure to a story. You can't just tell any story, right? There's got to be some arc or some tension, or what are some key elements, particularly for the oxytocin release, to incorporate into a storytelling or a story?
So the most basic of structures in storytelling is prep.
Yeah.
So you prep them that you're going to tell them a particular kind of story. So like, this one's super funny. You got it. That would be a prep, for instance. Yeah.
Right.
Or this. I actually cried when I heard this the first time, and then I tell you.
Yeah.
So the prep comes first.
Okay.
Second stage is background. So you kind of do a setting. You set the problem, the situation. You build the characters so that you get some kind of connection with the characters.
Yeah.
And then the third is development. So that is where the action happens. And the fourth step is conclusion. So prep, background, development, and conclusion. And in the development phase, you should have setbacks.
Yeah.
Because for each setback that you have for your main character that you built empathy for, the more oxytocin will be produced.
Right. So you referenced how oxytocin can help lead to increased generosity. And one of the research studies I saw that I came across, they also found that cortisol, when they showed these particular types of story arcs or videos that led to generosity, and they could predict generosity, they said cortisol was also kind of required because it's kind of the pain and cause people to focus.
Yeah.
So is there an element of that? I mean, you talked about some of the extreme version of cortisol that can be kind of downside, but if there's no setback or if there's no pain, then there's no real action, right? You kind of have to have a bit of pain. Is that kind of the physiological response as well?
It's like the James Bond thing.
Yeah.
Whenever he saves the world, just like the scenes before that, he's stuck in a in like a cage with sharks around them, and he's out of air and everything. The world is going to be blown up.
Yeah.
And then like a minute later, he saves the world.
Yeah.
And the oxytocin we get from him saving the world is much greater if the contrast is bigger.
Right.
So, and it's as with anything in life, we live our lives through contrast.
Right.
Everything is contrast.
Yeah.
And that's why in stories you have to create contrasts. And that's where pain comes in.
And I think a lot of nonprofits are hesitant to create contrast, right? Because a lot of the issues that we deal with are tough.
Yeah.
They're dark, and like we don't want to talk about the problems or the pain, and we just want to talk about the solution or the happiness. And is that maybe a mistake, because without the setback and without the pain, then you don't get the full reward, you only get a little bit?
Yeah. I mentioned I found a link, which was I think the road to Exodus or Exodus something. It was a charity project. They had a video. It's a US project on their webpage. It built oxytocin in a beautiful way. So it was about slavery and sex slaves, and they showed all these women and men or boys in these situations that were really sad. So you could almost get goosebumps from the enormous oxytocin boost. And then that was kind of oxytocin cortisol, because it was painful to see.
Yeah.
And what they did then was they followed that up with serotonin, which is when we feel proud. So they showed how people had actually accomplished things for this particular project. And it was a brilliant combination. I liked that video. It was a bit too long. For anyone that's going to watch it, it should be shorter. At least there should be two videos. One that is like punchier, and one that can take you through the next story if you want to.
So that's another interesting thing. So oftentimes people say, how long should my email be, or how long should my video be? And the one answer is like however long it needs to take. Because Charity Water, who's going to be here, and to use an example, they have a 20-minute video that they use to recruit donors, but it's really good. It's a story arc, and if it's good, we'll watch it. If it's crap, we're not going to watch it. It could be a minute, and if it's brutal, like, we're gone.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that, like, our attention spans for sure are short, but it's often maybe the start of the story or the video. Like, are there some hooks that people can kind of use? Say in a video, maybe it's like a bit of the prep, or can you state a problem, or how can we kind of get some of that early engagement so people aren't just,
No, definitely. Any kind of hook that you can create in the background is brilliant.
Yeah.
And that will really leverage the dopamine levels for you.
Yeah.
So you definitely need to do that as well.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you kind of maybe couldn't get to because it was really short on time, that maybe people listening on the live stream that would be like an extra cool thing or something that you found, or maybe a resource for them to go check out if it's maybe your TED Talk or something like that?
I would say there's two elements to the story. You got the character and then you got the story arc. Studies have shown that the character is way more important than the story arc. So if you really feel for a character, the story arc isn't as important. So it's important to like really give them a sensation for that character.
Yeah.
And start analyzing when they watch movies. You know, see how a movie always begins. It always like builds oxytocin for a character. It's super important. And then also you can almost analyze it yourself. Whenever they fail to do that, it doesn't matter how much action there is in the movie. It's going like up and down, shooting, killing, shooting, killing. But you're not attached to the movie because there's no oxytocin. It's like the last Avengers movie. Did you see it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So this has been a build-up year after year after year after year.
Yeah.
So there's so much oxytocin. We feel so much for these characters. So when Loki dies,
Spoiler.
just in the beginning, we're like, Earth,
Yeah.
because there's been such a build-up for that particular character. So yeah, that's a brilliant way to actually practice storytelling, is to watch movies and see why they fail and why they succeed.
That's great. So did you don't take the day off now because you're watching this, but next week, take the week off and just watch movies and call it studying storytelling. David JP Phillips said it.
And it's this particular session I did is a TEDx session as well. So anyone who wants to rewatch it, they can just go watch it on YouTube.
Awesome. We'll send that out later, and you can find it in a resource, and then you'll be able to watch David's talk later as well. So I'll let you get some more food and get settled.
I'm heading back in 2 hours.
Optimization inside it, baby. Ooh.